now to discuss is former California Superior Court Judge LaDoris Cordell. Judge Cordell is also author of the book Her Honor, My Life on the Bench, What Works, What's Broken, How to Change It. Judge Cordell, great to see you.
Sure. Thank you.
Special Counsel Jack Smith did something bold, right? He challenged Judge Cannon before her ruling. And while she has ruled the case should proceed, is it your feeling the Presidential Records Act argument is coming back?
Yes. So, FREDRICKA, even a first-year law student, after reading the indictment, would know that the Presidential Records Act, I'll call it the PRA, has no bearing. It doesn't even apply to this case. This is a case under the Espionage Act. So the PRA says that presidents are to return presidential records at the end of their term, but they can keep personal records like journals. And Donald Trump is using the PRA to lay personal claim to these highly classified documents. The PRA was put in place after the Watergate scandal, not so that presidents could unilaterally designate government documents as their own personal property, but for the opposite reason, to ensure government documents remain in possession of the government. So Judge Cannon initially ruled that Presidential Records Act did not apply. But within days of making that order, she reversed herself, and she ordered the defense and the prosecution to send her proposed jury instructions that suggests that she's still open to the PRA defense, which again has no bearing in this case. So why would she do this? She's doing this. One, it's delay. But secondly, she is sending a direct message to Donald Trump that she's in his corner. She is basically saying, I'm open to this defense, and you can, maybe I'm going to bring it up during trial. So in response, what does Jack Smith do? He says, all right, give us a ruling now, a definitive ruling. Are you going to allow the PRA as a defense or not? And she has declined to do that. So if she waits long enough and they seat a jury, and then she decides, oh, I'm going to allow the PRA, there's nothing the prosecution can do about it.
Wow. Okay, that's fascinating. So the road ahead could be a very tenuous, bumpy one potentially. So now let's talk about the New York.
Right. And just
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just add one other thing?
Yeah.
So, you know, so Smith has an out. He could say, you know, I'll give you a proposed jury instruction, but I'm going to go right up to the Court of Appeal now and ask them to make an order directing you, Judge Cannon, to make a final decision. Is this going to be a PRA defense or not? Are you going to allow it? And if the appellate court directs her to do that, she has to then make a ruling right now and not wait till the trial happens.
Given his tone right now, you think that's the direction he might take?
He has to go that way because if she doesn't, and she allows this defense, the jury would have to acquit Donald Trump because he's just said, I took these because they're my personal records and the PRA allows me to do it, which it doesn't.
Wow.
So that's the problem. My concern finally is that this woman, Judge Cannon, she's no dummy. She's got a very good legal education. She is telling us right out here what it is she's doing. And what she's doing is currying favor. And my guess is that her plan is if Donald Trump is elected president, then he would then, when an opening comes up, he would appoint her to the U.S. Supreme Court. And if that were to happen, God help us, then we'd have yet another loose cannon on the Supreme Court.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, let me ask you quickly about the New York Trump criminal, hush money case. Judge Juan Merchan, added to his existing gag order, right? Previously, the gag order stated that Trump could not criticize his former attorney, Michael Cohen, or adult film star Stormy Daniels, who were both expected to be witnesses at the trial. But now he has expanded the gag order, saying Trump is not to attack the judge's family or the family members of the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. And of course, this comes after Trump has been targeting Judge Merchan's daughter with what he calls dangerous rhetoric. Is this enough in your view?
Well, it's long overdue. The U.S. Supreme Court in 1976 said gag orders are lawful. They are constitutional if they are written correctly. So I just wonder what took the judge so long. And I'm also curious about why he didn't include himself and Alvin Bragg. They have been repeatedly attacked, and we know what these attacks do. They incite the MAGA base to go after these people, to threaten them with violence and even commit violence. So yes, we are now, this is the only case that's now proceeding to trial, the only case that is now ready to hold Donald Trump accountable on April 15th.
Right. Do you feel like Judge Merchan would feel like it would seem prejudicial if he were to include himself or even the DA? He's afraid of what it may look
Well,
like.
yeah, I mean, ordinarily, a judge would not include oneself in a gag order, but this is where this is a direct threat. Even the judge has even found, Judge Merchan has even found that Donald Trump's words are posing an imminent danger to individuals that he names. So I understand why, in a way, he didn't include himself. But given that this is such a highly unusual situation, I think he would have been just fine including himself, meaning you don't attack me. By the way, no other case in any other courtroom would any trial judge ever allow anyone, let alone a defendant, to attack the judge. It just wouldn't happen. So there's a double standard here. I get it, sort of, but if I were the trial judge in this case, I would not hesitate to say, you don't attack me because we have decorum and law and order in the courtroom.
All right. Judge Ladoris Cordell, thanks so much. Glad you could be with us.
Thank you.